I am recording, right? Let me make sure.
Yep, you are.
Yeah, I am. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, here we go. And this is I have two small videos. They're either like 2 hours long, or or they're these videos that are they just look at the pictures. They don't have any.
In this art history video, we'll dive into the world of Edgar Degas, an artist who was considered an impressionist, but in fact despised the term. Degas preferred to create art indoors, studying his subjects carefully, while many impressionists painted in open air spontaneously. Degas is known for painting and sculpting dancers, which we'll learn were actually quite controversial during his time. Degas was born in Paris in 1844 and began painting early on in his life. His mother was not from Paris, but from New Orleans, an amateur opera singer, and his father a painter. A moderately wealthy family, but not without financial problems and tensions. In fact, after Degas' father died when Degas was just 40 years old, it was discovered that his brother had amassed large debts. Degas was forced to sell his own art collection and focus on making an income from his art. But before we dive into the art of Degas, let's take a look at what else was going on in history during the 1870s when Degas was making art. In 1870, the Franco-Prussian War had broken out. The German states were quickly unifying under what was then called Prussia, and Napoleon III in France was concerned about this shift in power, and France declared war on Prussia. Degas, the French National Guard, were at the age of 36, found out that his eyesight was beginning to fail him. The war ended in less than a year. France, however, was defeated, and Germany gained power. So Degas decided to head to America to visit his family in New Orleans and avoid the post-war chaos in Europe. Now, in America at this time, the Civil War had ended and slavery had been abolished less than 10 years earlier in 1865. Social tensions were strong in the South, especially among cotton farmers who had relied on slavery for their business. And Degas' family was in the cotton brokerage business. Things were soon to change for them. Degas decided to paint his observations. In a cotton office in New Orleans, he painted his brother and uncle just a few years before their cotton brokerage business went bankrupt. Degas seems to be telling us that something is about to change for these seemingly relaxed and wealthy businessmen. Now, after his trip to New Orleans, Degas returned to Paris and began to explore new ways of painting with Claude Monet and a group of artists called the Anonymous Society of Artists. These artists wanted to break free from the control of the Paris Salon, where art was exhibited and artists were made known. The Salon dictated rules around painting, but many artists wanted to experiment with new ways of making art. So Degas began to take on an approach to art that was distinct, even from his fellow Impressionist artists. He had a more classical approach to making art, carefully studying and preparing his paintings. He despised the spontaneous nature of Impressionism. Degas greatly revered old masters like Eugène Delacroix and Jean-Auguste Honoré. Degas had even previously been accepted by the Salon of Paris to show his history paintings. But like the modernist artists, he wanted to move beyond creating traditional art. He wanted to paint life as he saw it, with images from real life, rather than history or literature. Degas thus considered himself a realist artist, studying and painting how he saw everyday life, real people, their movements, and unusual postures. He frequently attended operas at the Palais Garnier and studied and painted the dancers backstage and onstage. Degas showed a distinct approach to color, light, and motion. This may have been because he was extremely sensitive to light and suffered from weak eyesight. He almost created an impression of an image, which is why many consider Degas an impressionist. Degas, however, clearly differentiated himself because he disliked the concept of painting the open air doors. He preferred painting alone and indoors. He eventually even alienated himself from his friends and other artists. He believed that artists must live alone. Degas' eyesight increasingly failed him, and by 57 he would become nearly blind. As a result, he sought sculpture as a more tactile form of creating art. His ballerina sculpture is one of the most well-known of his works today, but at the time was harshly criticized. While the bronze sculpture was masterfully crafted, he added a real tutu and bodice on his dancer, which shocked audiences. Today, Degas is known for being one of the most remarkable artists in history. From his paintings to sculptures to froth pastels, the way he approached art was unique, from the materials he used to the subjects he chose and the way he portrayed them. He inspires us to study art and create our own art.
Okay, hold on. I have another one.
Edgar Degas was born to a wealthy family on July 19, 1834. Later in life, he would change his name to Degas to sound less pretentious. Growing up, a favorite activity for he and his father was visiting the Louvre. When Degas turned 18, he turned a room in his house into an artist's studio. And while his father encouraged him to pursue the arts, his father did not want art to be his son's lifelong career. Degas attended law school, but experienced boredom and committed little effort to it. Instead, he spent hours in the Louvre obsessively copying the work of the past masters, keying into the small details that pleased the eye. Degas was in awe of the painter Jean Ang and was able to meet him. Ang gave him advice he never forgot. Draw lines, young man, and still more lines, both from life and from memory, and you will become a good artist. Inspired, Degas traveled to Italy to study art and visit family. He stayed with his aunt's family, drawing sketches of them and making copies of the Renaissance masterpieces of Da Vinci and Michelangelo in the Italian museums and galleries. Upon his return to Paris at the age of 25, Degas began work on a portrait, the Bellelli family. It would become known as his earliest masterpiece. Based on the sketches he made while staying in Italy, and after years struggling how to portray his niece's natural grace onto canvas, Degas composed a painting that was psychologically penetrating. The postures and gestures within the family suggested unease and quiet tension between the parental figures and the children whose loyalty was caught between. Degas spent many painstaking hours working late into the evening alone in his studio. He was provided a comfortable income from his father, but without the need to open up, he became a recluse, and consequently, his art received little exposure. When his father passed away in 1874, Degas learned that his brother had amassed massive business debts. To protect his family's reputation, Degas sold the house and all of the art he inherited from his father to pay off his brother's debts. Now, for the first time in his life, Degas was dependent on the sales of his art to earn a living. Degas had a restless nature when he found a subject. He painstakingly worked and reworked the composition, going back to the subject repeatedly until he was satisfied with the result. He yearned for perfection, obsessively trying to attain it. When Degas was 40, he visited the Paris Opera to see the ballet. The restless, irritable artist must have seen something in the grace and the movement of the ballet dancers that captured him, because the next 30 years would see them inspire a tremendous and intense output of art. Degas drew his subjects as if caught from a random glance, with odd angles that were inspired by Japanese woodblock prints. He preferred to show the ballet dancers between performances, the anxious wait for their cue, the strain of rehearsal, the routine. Degas wanted to capture their strive for perfection. Although he favored paintings of women, Degas was never married. He believed an artist should live alone. and through his old age, he became increasingly isolated. When Manet, his closest friend in the art world, passed away, it left Degas devastated. He was seen as argumentative and cruel, and in time, his friends left him. Edgar Degas died alone and blind on September 27, 1917, at the age of 83. Edgar Degas pained for perfection, and through his tremendous output, he reached great heights. Degas' artwork is noted for his unique eye, and his deep understanding of wave posture reveals the inward nature of a person. I know nothing of inspiration, spontaneity, and temper. What I do is the result of a long reflection and study of the great masters.
There you go. What else?
I missed. How did he get to New Orleans?
By a boat.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, why did he even go there?
Well, now wasn't it? His mom was originally from New Orleans. She's an opera singer.
Oh, okay.
And then they had a brokerage. What was it? A cotton brokerage, or some sort of brokerage thing going on there. So yeah, like that.
His mother was American.
I guess so.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I better switch the. Okay. Oh, I forgot to turn it off. Oh well. Okay, good. Let's do a value study. I don't know. So do you understand? He really, even though, a lot of these so-called impressionists really didn't consider themselves impressionists. I doubt Manet considered himself an impressionist. I always thought of Manet as a realist, and Degas too. And there's differences, But mainly, the main difference is that they paint indoors, they don't paint outdoors. Basically, they're studio painters. But also that they tend to portray the reality of life rather than the sort of idealistic, which Degas does both. I mean, I think it's a little funny that they say he paints the reality of life and then he goes to operas and paints opera dancers. I mean, I don't think that's very real life, but regardless, it doesn't really matter. He's an amazing painter. He's the amazing painter, shall I say. What I mean is there anybody that doesn't look up to him for composition? I mean, he's really one of just. He embodies so much into one artist. It's just, it's amazing. And I also like what they said about spontaneity, because his work does have a very spontaneous kind of feel to it. But no, he comes to these conclusions by lots and lots of vigorous study, relentless study. So, very interesting.
I mean, his composition is just amazing.
Yeah, this one today is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one today is. I mean, there's so many good ones to choose from. I mean, but so I had to pick one. And okay. Now, although you'll notice that not very much color in this piece today. Not a really colorful piece, but shall we say a really subtle piece. So let's just, how about we start off with that wall in the back. The wall, you know, it's a little less than a third down. And then we have the tables.
The walls may be a bench type, the back of a bench type.
Yeah. Definitely.
I see line around the female.
Right, sure. He's always drawing back into the. I mean, he's just. I've heard him called the most pure artist. I mean, I don't know. I've heard a lot of artists called that too. So, but he certainly is a pure artist. But unlike, let's say, Cézanne or whatever, he really had to come back and make a living at it. So, yeah. So how about we just outline these figures? Something like that. Now, by the way, notice all the angles and straights everywhere. So we'll get into that. And I'm just going to come up to her about this far over and see her. And I think she's drinking the green drink. What do they call it?
Absinthe.
I never could say it. Absinthe.
And looks suitably miserable.
Right. Sort of.
It looks like a margarita straight up.
I know.
Nice.
I should put her over. All right, and we have her dress and shoes. And then him, he kind of comes up and over. And look at the negative shape there, right there. And then look at the other negative shape in here. See, it's just it's angles everywhere. Just angles everywhere. I must be drawing her really wide now. All right, and we have a she's got the black. And I think the title of this is, I heard it, I saw two titles, so I'm not sure of the title, but something about absinthe, like. No, I'll get that.
I think I looked it up. It's one of them. I guess it's in English. It's in a cafe, and then in parentheses, the absinthe drinker.
Okay.
In French, it's just little absinthe. I don't know how to pronounce it. L the apostrophe and then absinthe.
Oh, okay. So that's what it was. Okay. So I thought, yeah, in a cafe. I just thought, is that really the title? An absinthe drinker. Really thought, okay, that's probably it. And then I downloaded this from what do you call it? Wikipedia. So, okay, and maybe her hair comes down about there, something like that. Be a little higher, huh? And let's do the Prussian blue and red. Now that's a really good way to come up with a lot of these darks. If you don't have black, I mean, he's probably using black. So use black if you want. In the painting today, if you like. What have I got here? Really dark already. Well, I have this value here, so I'm just going to put it in. I have a dark here. I mean, I'm just doing this because it was on my brush. A really dark. And it really kind of showcases the drink here. I guess they had their little drug problems too, didn't they? Okay, let's see. And then we can get some more of that down here on this pants. And they turn a little bit browner. We also have this I don't know what that is. It's connecting the two tables, but it's really good. It's a good compositional piece. Alright, a little bit lighter on the pants here. The shoes. And a little bit lighter for the shadow. He casts a shadow over here. And she casts a shadow right here. Got his beard, didn't I? All right, what else? And then, you know, this is pretty dark back here too, which really sets the stage. The dress is lighter, but still pretty dark. Her hair is a medium color, medium value. The hat's much lighter, but with the shadow on the side. Pretty pale skin. And And the same with her dress here. I'll put down at the middle values in between the tables. Middle value in with this there, and this is pretty deep with some nice little highlights on it. The tables themselves are pretty light, but not white. Even if the floor is about the same value, maybe a little bit darker. It's to be a little bit lighter. I'm going to pull it off here a little bit. There we go. And then here we have, I don't know. Nice, clever little signature. Oops. I'm just going to knock down some of these values. Keeping it white on her collar. All right. As far as the value study goes, I think we're doing pretty good there. So let's move on to the color. Like I said, there's not a lot of color, so it's almost like another value study. But really, let's talk about the subtlety of this color.
Bob, can I ask a quick question about where the light's coming from?
Yeah.
Go over.
What was your question?
Where the light, where the light is coming from? Is it because it seems like part of it's coming from the back behind her, and then and then on her front? I'm just not certain. The picture, kind of hard for me to tell.
So the light is coming, I would say, from this direction, and then what it's doing is this wall behind them almost feels reflective, like it could be mirror, or it could be just very, very light, or might have some reflective, because even over here it feels kind of coppery, kind of silvery.
It's a mirror. It looks like it's a mirror.
Oh, okay.
So those aren't shadows in the background. Those are reflections of the back of their head.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then it looks like maybe there's on that mirror. Looks like there's curtains or something.
Right.
Where the light's coming in.
Right.
That's what I think. Yeah. Yeah. So right. So we have a. So the light coming from behind their heads is brighter than what's on them. Maybe this light back here is one of the brightest in the whole piece.
Yeah.
I probably want to play that down a little bit. But yeah, so mainly the light source is coming from here, but we've got this reflection in the background.
Thanks, Rob.
They can do that.
But you know, the tassels on her shoes are really the brightest white.
Yeah. It's called tassel white. There's a little white on her collar too there.
Do you think those curtains could be reflected in the mirror from across the room?
I don't know. I think it really is a. All right. Let's do it again here now. Oh yeah. On there. There. This table. Two tables. You could probably have made this a little longer here. Go that way. Okay. Anywho, let's do the. Now his face is really close to the edge here. Let's see if his hat. We'll just kind of keep it basic. And like, ooh, how did I get so off on her head? Her hat comes up. Lift that up a little higher. Nothing there. So let's just say the back of her head is being reflected right there. And I could use a little bit more space over here. All right. All right, and then we got a bottle here. We'll just say that okay. Yeah, and our so some people would call this right here, this little, what is it, a hanker, tablecloth, not a place setting or some sort of cloth or whatever this is. To link this to this, he used this white.
Oh, I wondered what that was. It's kind of at a weird angle.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it almost looks like a.
It's wood. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, some sort of.
Is it a menu or?
How about a menu? Yeah, I like that, a menu.
How about a newspaper?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, that works. Yeah.
Okay. I agree, it's a newspaper.
And what are the other items on the table? Oh, sugar?
I don't know, what is this thing?
A whip or a.
I know, really. whips and newspapers, come on down. We've got your absinthe or whatever it is. You can, after you've had a couple of drinks of that.
And you know, the absinthe bottle is either completely full or completely empty.
Oh yeah, that's right. Now, is that just supposed to make you like hallucinate or something, or what is it? Weird stuff, huh? Okay, you know, we've got a lot of this light yellow kind of gray. I would take red, yellow, and blue, cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue. And so my first stab at it is something like this, which is, you know, maybe on the green side, okay. So I did, you know, on the ground we're seeing quite a bit of the yellow. So I'm gonna get a little more yellow, maybe a little more red than that. It's just a series of grays, really. Yeah. Sort of a dirty gray.
Is that yellow ochre?
Yellow ochre is a dirty gray. It's made the same way we just made us. We made this, so yeah, it's certainly close to a yellow ochre for sure.
Okay.
And you know, if you look at her little scarf, is almost the same color. And then we get into some of this up here, which is lighter and cooler. So let's lighten this up. And add some blue. Blue and some water. Let's see what we got here. Yeah. There's little yellows in that too. I mean, he's always, even to his later days when he's almost blind, he's so subtle with color. I mean, he gets really extreme with his colors, but he's so subtle what he does with them and positions them and how he puts one against another for, I mean, he's always working in the name of beauty. His own. So some artists are aesthetes. He's an aesthete. Other artists are, that's just an artist who studies aesthetics. Other artists, you know, maybe they're trying to depict the reality of the time they lived in. I mean, see what I mean? He does both. Certainly when you look at his painting, you're offered a window into time. And back here on the wall, even yellower. So a lot of these yellowy sort of grays. Yeah.
So he probably did sketching and made notes in the cafe and then went back to his studio and put it all together.
Relentless, yeah. I mean, when we make our little notes here, this would just be the beginning for him. Everything is really, really thought out.
It's as if he's sitting at that front table, just observing.
So that's his whip, Diane.
Yep.
I think this might be a pen, and next to it is an ink, and
Maybe.
And the sketchbook is across the table. His sketch.
His sketchbook.
Yeah, that's why he wrote his name here, because of the pen.
Looks like he spilled some ink on the table.
Oh.
Okay, yeah.
Oh.
Very good, Miss Go.
Oh, great.
All right. So a little darker, maybe a little cooler, please. And then this bench, let's get into that. Again, same palette. I guess, you know, you might be able to use a little bit of magenta in that. I'd use the same red, yellow, and blue. Maybe add a little bit of magenta. Cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue. Let's see what this is. Make it be a little redder than that. Some red. I'm going to add some red and magenta. Yeah, that's it. That's like burgundy. Okay. And down here, I think it's too dark. I mean, maybe I'll just take a little bit of Prussian blue and add it to that color we just made. I see more of that all over, so why don't I just add some to this gentleman's hat here and here. He's just such a master of the big flat shapes. See how this is just turning into big flat shapes? It's letting the shape do the work. He doesn't really need very much definition. And actually, most of this doesn't have very much definition at all. He saves it for the faces. And just a detail here, a detail there, that's it. Here. All right. These are pretty warm too. Could brown those up by adding a little bit more yellow to it. And I'll brown that up. And she's a little bit lighter, a little bit redder through here. So. Need a little bit more yellow in that too. So with a really dark, orange almost. So I just took the orange and added blue to it. It's still yellow and blue. It always is, but I'll always stress that, like for instance, it's more orange, red orange in there of a gray. I don't see that color anywhere else, really. And then we have a lot of this color right here on her shirt. I should have put that on her shirt. A little brown. I want to add a little blue to it. In other words, I want to cool it off. That's cooler, but too dark. Oops. Better. You see some in her hat. Maybe a little bit bluer than that. And so behind her, a lot of cool. I mean, really, I'm just going to leave it white. You'll see it over and over and over again in his paintings. These patterns, he's just obsessed with patterns. He uses them all the time. A little bit warmer than that for her hair. Her hair's just it's a warm gray. Her skin is pretty pasty.
Looking at the picture, I can see the frame of the mirror behind them, around the bottom, like the top of the bench behind them. That's the bottom of the frame of the mirror.
Yeah.
And what's to the left is like the patterned wallpaper.
Right. So then it's settled.
Because I was wondering why that gold along the top of the bench didn't go all the way across, and then it occurred to me that's part of the frame of the mirror.
Knew it. Okay.
And you notice the man has a pipe. I think there's a pipe coming out of his mouth. Wow. Gosh.
Yeah, and even smoke, I think.
Wow.
Is there smoke?
I think so. Something's coming from
looks like,
the bowl of the pipe, and then it covers the stem a little bit.
Yeah. He's connecting everything.
I don't think it's necessary to put in all their features, but
And no leg of the tables.
No table legs.
Oh,
No table legs. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
maybe they're those ones with one big
pedestal, but it seems like they cantilever out quite far.
What, they're pedestal tables, you think?
like it would be here.
Yeah, that
Big
one I could
black.
see. But what about the other one?
Or maybe it'd be way out here.
It'd have to be pretty far out there.
Yeah. I don't know.
Huh.
We might have to send it back. Tell Degas to do it over.
Yeah.
I think he got a little ahead of himself on this one, and I don't know. I just think I find that unacceptable. That's funny. Oh, you guys, you're so observant. It's ridiculous. Okay, so we've got, come over here. So this whole palette is it's a cad red, And that's the dirty cad red. It's a cad yellow. Okay, and ultramarine blue. That's a very dirty one, but it won't matter because there's no pure color in this piece. So, you know, you take each of these into the center and you develop yourself a pool of mud. A lot of people like to call it mud. We'll just call it gray, how about that? And you make yourself a gray. Add a little yellow to that. Add a little red to that. And take it in any direction you want. You know, if I needed to go in more of the sort of blue-gray way, I'll take it over here. And then I've got, so I just added more blue to it, and that's how I get that, and I just keep adding water to get the color I want. It's the same with the red. Add the red to it. And you get a red or gray. And so on. So that's the thinking behind the color here. And same with the yellow. We got the yellow, just take some of that, add it to it. You have yellow ochre right there. I mean, that's how you make yellow ochre. It's just a complicated yellow.
Do you clean your brush before you pick up your outside colors to go to the center? Not really.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there's the more pure, and you know, you can just take a little of this, add it to that, and you've got more of a. You see how it works? I know I've showed you this before, but still. That's the thinking, and now I did add a little bit of Prussian, so occasionally for the darks, you know, I'll add some Prussian blue to this mixture and get something in that area. I also added for the bench, I added some shall we say some magenta, and we could certainly do that as well. So that's your palette. That is a very limited palette. And since all the colors here are mixed into the pot here. Some people call this the pot of color right here. I don't know why they call it that. They just do. They just refer to this palette. They call it the mud palette. It should have a nicer name, but mud palette. So in other words, everything has the mud in it. See, everything has the mud in it. Everything. So this mud is made out of the cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue. If you do it my way, you'll get the complicated colors. If you just use black and white and then add other colors to it, you'll probably won't learn that much, and you'll be struggling. All right. Oh, let me zoom out. And that's the thinking right there. Don't forget that mud palette. Did he invent the mud palette? No, they were definitely painting with mud before Degas, but Degas does things with color that nobody else ever did before him. He goes to places. He comes from this mud palette and he grows it into that impressionist palette, but yet he never really is an impressionist. He just goes off into La La Land, into Degas land. because what else could you call it? I mean, he's doing stuff that is just so far out there for his time. Gosh. He's just a, you know, and if he would have been if he would have lived in modern times, he would have been always on the avant-garde of what was going on. He was just on the forefront. Pushing things. Always. So, you got that?
Yeah, thank you.
Far back a second. Yeah. Okay, let's get into it. I'm just working on regular watercolor paper. Let's bring down. I'd say the tables are about there. Oops. Let me set my camera. And we have this. Neat. Now, all the angles, the word asymmetry comes to mind here, okay? Just write that down if you like. Asymmetry. Oh, it's just, he's all about asymmetry. Get on top of this here. I almost want to stand up when I draw this because you gotta look straight down on it. But what I'm going to do is just sort of block in basically where I want things first, and then I'll do a little bit more drawing. So here, I'll draw a little darker for you, sorry. Just kind of block it in first. Head, hat, face, pipe. and I lay it really almost identical to the way I do the other one, right? The little ones. I mean, it's very, very similar. I'll lay it in the same. We'll just get a little bit more complicated with it. Now, let's see something there now. If he's there, she's around there. And another shoulder is about there, and he comes in this way. Just kind of rough things in. One thing I really want you to think about is all that asymmetrical. Yes, she is pretty centered, but he pulls the whole composition over here, right? And it's more empty over here. So, actually, she's a little further over here, isn't she? Maybe more like that, yeah. Like that. we'll just, so, you know, the thing in the beginning, don't paint the people, paint the shape of the people. Just the same way you're painting the bottle and everything else. What happens, this is the normal thing, is that we tend to get caught up into the fact that it's a person, and then that throws it off. We get obsessed with having to make it look like a person. Forget about that, and just think about that we have shapes. We're thinking about shapes here. All right. It comes over. Maybe a little larger than that. And then let's see him. Oh yeah, he's got this triangle right here. Right, his pant leg comes down to here, and the shoe comes down about there. And then we have this other triangle over here. Where's the other foot? You see all these just asymmetrical angles. It's just everything's juxtaposed to balance in a very asymmetrical way. So as you can see, very little detail out here. Little touches of detail, and they're not much. So, and even the bottle itself, really not very much. I wouldn't obsess over things that don't need it so much. And then a couple drinks here. I think I could have put that up higher, huh? I think, you know, it is a big deal that you get the drink placed right, because the dark surrounding it, he's making a big deal out of this drink. What's the other guy, a beer or something? I don't know what it is. And his arm, you know, all this gets kind of lost in the black, and then his arm just sort of goes over the front there. Got a collar. and his hands, you really make very little of that. And I think, let me zoom in for you. Come into his face, and so we kind of framed it. I just sort of put the angle down for his face. See his forehead comes in about there. And beard. We got an eye about here. And this is so small that it's totally fine that you don't get all these details in there. I mean, you know, I'll have to mark you down on that, but all right, so we have a nose approximately there. We got a mustache. More beard. A little bit of an ear here. A whole lot of hair. Now let's just say shape. I don't know, something like that. Probably could fit on his head a little bit better. With that hair right there. Mr. Bohemian here. All right, we got very intellectual. Just looking for somebody to get in an argument with, right? I'm good and drunk now. Let the games begin. Okay, so no collar there. I'm saying, yeah, maybe his shoulder stress on there. Okay, something about like that. I mean, I don't really have any detail in there. Maybe a little bit more, just to help. And let's go over to her. So, okay, so she is sort of leaning a bit. She's wobbly. I'll just find out where I want her chin to be, approximately, let's say here. Let's just guess where her face is over there. Maybe her eye starts about here. See her hair around there. That would make her that. something like that. Might be able to go a little bit higher. I'm running out of room here, but I. Do we need to go up higher? But those hats are a big deal, aren't they? I can, oops. There we go. So, you see what I have here? This is what we would call the mask of the face. And back to the jaw. The ear would start about approximately. Well, why don't we just set it up here? Looks like her eyes around here. And then going downhill, just notice it would just set it up like this. Just approximate where you want the eye line to be, the nose line or the lower nose, and the lip line. And you can just kind of set it up like that. So they're all following suit. And then if you just take a straight line up, usually, you know, that's approximately where the ear would be in line with these two. I mean, that can help you. Something like that. She's got some hair. Goofy. Before there was Beehive. Oh yes, folks. They did it up. Just to go down to the Absinthe Café. Oh my God. And then probably should sharpen my pencil because it's getting really small here. I don't want this to take too crazy long. I'll put a little bit of detail in the eyes here. She's got that droopy. So this eye's sort of going up like this. And this one's kind of going down like this, sort of the loop to doop. Kind of in a stupor here. Like those kind of shapes. Just, you know, it's so small, I'm just going to do it with my pencil here. Something like that. Got a nostril here. And the top lip. And there's a little bit of something, a little bit of shadow underneath the bottom lip. So you see I'm basically taking care of a lot of his rendering, you know, that's done in oil paint, and on a much larger scale, I'm taking care of that with just a pencil. And And of course, just doing a study here. Thinking about the asymmetry, thinking about this. I mean, he's just such a master composer. He's one to really think of when it comes to composition. Think about the way that he sets up his shapes. That's what he's, I mean, honestly, he's really a great teacher is what he is. He teaches all the teachers. Let's try it here. Get the shoulders going on there. We'll get into this. Get a little bit more shoulder here. She doesn't have big shoulders, but there's some back there. Maybe she's got a pillow or something back there. I think we're about there. Get that shape. Interesting that he puts this dark line right along the edge here. I mean, guarantee that that dark right there on the edge, he needed that to be there. I mean, that's the kind of moves you can see that he'll look at the edges of a Degas pastel, and you'll see they've been cut, and you'll see little slits along the edges, almost always, because he'll send them down to the framer and have them with a little bit of wood along the edge again, and have them redone so he can extend the outside border so he can play with the composition more. He's just relentless. It just means everything to him, you know? Okay, then let's do this. I want to start off with these yellows, red, yellow, and blue. I want to start with the big colors first. Cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue, yellow, pretty green. I need my little tester. It's too brown and too dark. I need a yellow one. There it is, yeah. If anything, a little bit yellower. The thing is that you're here studying how subtle he is with his colors. So when you go look at a Degas in a museum, really think about that. Because it means everything to him. Subtlety in everything. Oops, it's a little bit brown, huh? So it's yellower than that. Got the color more right in the comp. It's actually not bad. Just had to lighten it up. It's just too bit yellow. That's too yellow. Way too yellow for this piece. Not bad, not bad. And you know, since it's almost the same color, I'm going to put it right up in here on a. And I see a lot of the same color up in here in the corner. I guess it would be here too, huh? Along this. I'll see any over there. With a little bit lighter, I'm going to take that off. It gets quite shiny here, so I just pulled that off with a dry brush. We never even talked about the drink color, did we? I mean, it's not unlike this or this, it's just greener. Oh. I don't know why I'm thinking about that right now. Let's get the big things in there first. Okay, a little bit cooler now. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to that color. But I still see little echoes, little touches of yellows and things in there. I'm going to get this theme color going first, which is a cooler gray. And then maybe just little touches of yellow and things like that in there. Let them happen. And what I've got here, pretty close to the same. You know, maybe a little bit cooler in the newspaper as well. It almost looks like marble or something in there, huh? He's just sort of swirling a couple of little. All right, so, and then a lot of the same colors in there. You know, behind her head, yeah. Some of these little darker patterns. It's very similar color to this, so I'm going to just go ahead and put that in. We'll continue it over here. This is yellower though. I should have put just a little bit more yellow into this. There we go. How about that dark red behind them? Oops. More red than that. More red. So there we go. Cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue, and magenta. Redder, redder. Go. I can get pretty dark. I have a little bit more blue to it down here. And that color continues down here. Sort of a burgundy color. And it comes off into our skirt a little bit more on the brown side. Cad red, cad yellow. Make sure you add plenty of yellow in that. That's what's keeping it more, well, maybe too much yellow. Okay. I always think of a brown as just an orange that I grade. So I make orange and then I take the blue into it and grade it. Yes, pants. Maybe a little darker, a little very dark brown. I see a lot of the same colors in her hair, maybe a little bit yellower. It's on my brush, so I used it. That'll dry up a little bit. No pun intended. And it's just a little bit darker gray and down in there. And as we come up onto her, oops, it's not that dark. So, you just get a little bit of yellow in that. Not quite. Yeah. And lighter. Very light. And this gets kind of a cool blue gray. We'll leave a little highlight there on the top. A little highlight right there in the center. You can see some of the background coming through it, but I mean, you know. So you can, there you go. Let's see. Maybe make it a little bit lighter there. And then where the plate comes through right there. Let's see. He puts a little more craftsmanship into his plate than I did. Pewter plate. There we go. And I can come back and play with that a little bit later, just get some darks or things in there. It's a really good dark right there, bam. Wonder why. Oh, I'll just hit it. He used his line to really clarify some things in places. Like, you know, see the one on the back of her neck there? Just really wants that to stand out.
Did Edgar use a lot of line?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Well, you can't see it in the finished pieces.
Oh, you can't?
No. No, he's completely tonal in the finished pieces.
How do you pronounce his name?
I think it's Angla.
Okay.
But most Americans just call him Ang.
A-N-G?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Ang, yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I'm probably butchering it, but I don't know. I try. Give us a little bit of a corner there. Just notice that. And what else? Oh, get into that hat. It's just basically a cool gray. With some little highlights. This gets kind of dark in here. we get like a shadow on the side. Yeah. And then he's just got a lot of dark. I would just go with the Prussian blue and the cad red. A lot of this. A little darker than that. I'll come back later and hit the shadow on there. A little bit of color in there, a little bit of brown. Just a little bit of ear in there. Right around there. Right. Soft edges. His hand area in there. Let's go for a little bit darker. Oh, very dark. Very, very dark back here. Behind the drink. Some dark right into the glass too. And come back in and hit the shadow side of the beard down there a little bit. Shadow side of the hat. bit darks in here. Now, I think on her, I'll hit some skin tones, which, let's see. Kind of yellowy. Maybe a little bit warmer than that. So it's just kind of yellowy in the light. I think what I'll do is, paint this over the shadows. Everything on this side of it's a very soft shadow, so lights kind of go like that. Whoops. And then we have a shadow on this side of her nose. And there. And there's just a little bit of a hint of life in her. Hit a little bit of red in her cheeks. There's a little bit in her ear. And her nose. Of course, the lips. We'll probably have the most red. Oh, there's a little shadow underneath her eye. A tired shadow. Could have done that better, but oh well. And I'll let that dry and then glaze in some lights on there later. So it's also kind of dull looking. A lot of this yellowy gray in there. I think I'll just put it over the whole face. And again, with a little bit of warmth in the typical areas, ear, cheeks, the nose doesn't always get warmer, but it does get darker. Get something up here, definitely in the lips. All right. There's something over there too, huh? probably shouldn't put that dark right on next to his face right now. Let him dry up a little bit. Oh. Okay. Mr. Pipe. Stuff in there. More of that sort of green gray on the collar. All right. Bouncing back to her now, because I really wish I would have got that a little darker. I want to warm up her face a little bit with a little bit more of that yellowy gray. And I'm going to go ahead and just throw that into the shadows too. Right over the lights. There we go, I think that was the way to. And we could sure get more picky about a lot of the details, but it's just aesthetic. Keep telling yourself that. And just remember, right? He would spend quite a long time thinking these things out. Like, for instance, the position of the dark behind her head is no mistake. That's an absolutely fantastic move to get that all pop. And I'd like to put it in now, but if I did that, we would just leak roll in there. So, but what I will do is start with this one. Whoops. A little browner than that. I think I'm okay. Nope, I'm not okay. Getting impatient. This dark here. Dark. Just a nice medium tone. And over here. Values in there. Now, am I ready for this lady's face?
Rob,
Yeah.
I noticed when you did the pewter plate, you didn't take it right to the edge of the table.
Oh.
It really looks
Is
like
it?
a tangent in the photo.
Oh. Oh no, that's one thing Degas will do. Degas will take all the rules and just mess with them. So if there's a tangent, you know, he's more aware of there being a tangent than anyone. But he would absolutely play with tangents. Mess with them all the time. Doing all kinds of little weird little things with them. But he's really one to play with all those ideas. Should be much darker, huh? So it's watercolor and you have to glaze it. I know. So we'll let that one dry a little bit and it's a little bit warmer. Again, I'll just get a little bit of warmth in there. Okay, yeah, what else? It's just a lot to do in a day, isn't it? How about the green? Absent color. It just, I guess, it makes you absent. Again, using the dark around it to set it off. Set off a focal point. light with those tables. You know, they never dry the way you want them to. I thought the colors were strong enough. When I first put them down, I thought they were a little too much, and then now they're just not enough. That's the way it always is. The good thing about watercolor is that you can go over it. There you go. Little things in there. A couple little dirty moves in there. Oh, it's still darker than that. Oh. Little shadows. Little shadow on this side, little shadow over this side. And a little shadow on here. Shadow back here. Maybe a couple of details. It's just never going to end with the details. Shadows in there. And I went over that too. It's still too light. I'll well. And we have a little ink. Shading on the ground. Oh boy.
A lot of details in this piece.
Yeah, I'd say let's wrap it up. The big things are the asymmetry, mainly, just the whole setup of all these angles. And the really subtle color. So Degas is one of the most perfect blends between a master draftsman and a colorist. You don't usually see them both in one artist like that. It's pretty rare. Yeah, how about 5 minutes, okay? I know it's never enough time, but, you know. We do the best we can. It's just a steady, remember. It's really easy just to keep working on these, so. Oh boy. What's, how about 11:45, okay? I have 11:41, so. All right, it's looking good. Okay. All right, Claire. I am recording, right, everyone? I didn't turn that off.
I can't believe I'm first. I thought it was going to be near last.
Oh, really?
It seemed like we had so much time.
Yeah, good graphics on this one. Good big flat shapes. That's the way you want to lay it out.
Yes, you're recording.
Thank you. Yeah. So maybe some darker values behind her.
Yeah.
That is the right color though.
Yeah, it seems like it reddish kind of.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get all the right values in this thing with watercolor on the first try, just like that. Because
yeah, the black was much easier.
Yeah. And let's see. I like your variation of grays. You got your yellow grays, your cool grays here. Right, good.
Okay.
And nice layout, asymmetry. I think about putting that little, I mean, that newspaper he put in there, I think was kind of a big deal to him.
Oh, was it?
It's an odd thing to put there. He's using it to link the two shapes. I mean, yeah, it's a big move on his part.
Okay.
That little thing in there, so
I can put it in. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, and nice layout. I mean, nice, great. You made a little more shadow on these, a little more shadow on them. You know, we could. I've certainly got to work on mine more, but you know, just more shadow, a little darker.
Yeah.
Best on these sides. There's a figure in here. He doesn't. He's got plenty of contrast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy with black and white though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everything's easier. I mean, but colors, especially Degas color, that's the one. Degas is the one to study for color. I can't think of any other artist, maybe Monet, but I don't know. He's really subtle, really advanced. Okay. Thank you, Claire. Nice work.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. There we go. And we got one. Oh, we got. Oh, cool. What's the story behind this?
Yesterday we went to this restaurant. I was looking at the picture reference you sent, and we realized that we are in the same position because I was watching TV, so I sit on the same couch with my wife. So we asked the waiter. Actually, the restaurant owner took the picture for us according to the Degas picture.
And did you tell your wife, "Hey, honey, could you look a little drunker?" No.
Yeah, we was drinking just Coke, or Chinese Coke. Yeah, actually, we planned to go there, not coincident. I even dressed up for that. Yeah.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, it was a favorite our favorite noodle house here in Hacienda Heights. Yeah.
I like the pedestal there too. Maybe Maybe they were on pedestals. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on this picture right now as we speak. So I will show you in the social network after the class. Maybe.
Beautiful. Yeah, very nice. I like the gesture of him. How he really feels like he's leaning on his arms. You really feel like he's got his weight on his arms. You can really feel that. And she looks like she's sort of balancing herself Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. She's teeter-tottering. So, but yeah. Great values, great colors.
Thanks. Yeah, it's
Oh,
on
yeah.
mixed media pad.
You're not doing just watercolor, huh?
Oh, just watercolor and ink. I did
And
grind my ink. I used Sumi ink, ground ink with ink stick.
Was that because he's probably using ink or something too?
Oh yeah, thanks for Mystical pointing that out. I believe so. Yeah, it's the artist. That's the position we took the picture. You know, in the restaurant. Exactly.
Yeah, I like that expression on her face.
Yeah, I think
expression.
it could be a wrap of brushes across the tables. Yeah. The brush, you know, the Sumi matte kind of thing, Mystical maybe no. We used to wrap our brushes, but he used pastel maybe in this case on the table. But anyway, that could be a newspaper still. But for me, it's like a brush wrapper. Yeah.
Maybe that is a brush carrier thing.
Brush bag. You carry the brushes, yeah.
Because it has to be pretty stiff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a rounded cylinder kind of shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think this is a great picture and so inspiring. Thank you for the lesson.
Yeah.
I learned so much from the class.
Nice looking shadows on the ground too. Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Henry.
Thank you, Rob.
Excellent work as usual.
Thank you.
Diane. Good looking flat shapes. Look at those big. You can tell you really are laying down the big flat shapes.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried to mix enough paint, but obviously I didn't.
Well, it's never enough. It's watercolor, you know. That's what it does. All right, so if anything, what I might do is zap a little color into her cheeks a little bit more.
Okay, yeah. They're both looking pretty pasty.
Yeah, they are pretty pasty, but you know. Great. I mean.
And some outlining. I mean, there's a lot of
oh sure, yeah, a little line work. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that line work and stuff.
Yeah.
This was fun. I mean, I enjoyed this.
Good angles, good drafting, nice color.
Thanks. Your limited palette was very helpful. Just really helpful. Didn't even really have to think too much.
You know, you can do almost everything out of that palette. I mean, it's really yes. You can extend it for more pure color, but for subtle grays, you know.
Yeah.
Great color. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for that mud palette lesson.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Diane.
Thanks, Ron.
Good. And George. Hey, looking nice color. Pushing the color a little bit more. Blue in the beard. And you know, if you get those a little darker, you can just keep the color, but his values are darker. But these are great color. Great angles you got here. Looks like you really got something out of his layout. And that's really about something you guys can take away from this lesson is, when you're laying out your own things, maybe you can get a little Degas with it. Maybe push things, get a little edgy with things. He really pushes things like tangents and asymmetry and just strange angles into things. Good looking values though. I mean, we need to get a little darker, but so do I. Yeah. I mean, I think that it's just a watercolor. It needs some glazes.
Right.
Yeah. Don't forget the warmth in her cheeks. I know there's not very much, but there's some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right then. Nice.
Yeah, this was good. Yeah, thank you. It was really a lot of fun.
Good. Yeah. Good. Well, Degas is a great teacher. That's what I have to say. He's a great one to study. I don't know if he would have been a very good teacher, though. I think he would have. I think he would have gotten really silent on people. All right. Thank you, George.
Yeah, it was interesting that he felt painters should live alone, you know.
Yeah, lonely guy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, huh? Ooh, what a lonely life.
Yeah.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
All right, now a lot of you haven't turned yours in. Let's get them in, okay? We need to get a whole bunch more in. Don't wait till the very end. If all you wait till the very end, then it gets kind of. I know a lot of you like to do that, but it's hard on the class. All right, here we go. Lily. Ooh, good graphics. Good big graphics shapes. I hope you learned something about laying in big flat shapes, because that's what's really working for you here. Great drafting of the people too. I mean, you know, good looking values. I like your color distinctions. I mean, you went a little more like red, violet, and yellow than it actually is, but we can gray those down a little bit if you like.
Okay.
And then I gotta go darker anyway, I'm sure. But that's the thing with him. He's just really subtle with color. But this is a good layout of graphic shapes. Good flat, good basics.
Thank you. I'm not quite done yet because I know I have to darken his beard and his hair, but I wanted to turn it in because I have to leave soon. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Darken his face, yeah.
And the table and her shirt and all that, all the ground. All those are the right colors, just a little bit darker. I would go a little darker. But that's normal in watercolor, you know? Yeah. But you wouldn't hit just, the neat thing is that you hit just like the dark in his hat. Now you can, every time you evaluate a value, like let's say the back of this bench, compare it to the back, the hat or the back of his shirt here, and you can see if it's light or dark enough.
Okay.
It's a good idea to establish that dark, at least early to midway in a piece, so you can really start getting those values. Good. Good.
It's hard to capture that melancholic look in her face.
Yeah, I know. You got it though. I mean, you got it. She looks kind of blank.
Okay.
Like, I'm here, but I'm not really here. No. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, there's some more. We got Suzanne. Now, great values, Suzanne. Wow, you really nailed the values. I mean, good looking layout too, but I mean, your values are just right on. Wow. And the bench looks good. I love these colors. In the table, in the ground, maybe a little darker right under him on the ground.
Yeah. I haven't finished him. There's no feet, you see.
Oh yeah. I didn't see that. Yeah, give him some feet. Meaning having cold feet. No.
Yeah.
Great colors in their faces. Yeah. Love the nuance you put in the line work and the lace and things on her. Great. That's a neat one. Wow.
Thanks. The expressions were hard, but oh well.
Yeah, they're always the hard thing. But that's not really the thing today. Oh, I hit the wrong thing here. That's sorry. Whoops. What did I do? Oh, I turned the thing off. I was wondering why you guys aren't seeing me. There we go. I mean, okay, this is great. I mean, any questions?
No.
I think you're definitely on the right track here. Couple more moves, finish the feet, little things
Yeah.
like, you know, but do it all the way you're doing it. This is looking great.
Thanks. Very fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's cool. Uh-huh. Very expressive. Very expressive analysis of Degas. Okay.
Try to kind of copy the lines.
Yeah.
You know, there's lines, but there is no lines, but there is lines. You know that.
There's some where he's kind of coming back on the.
Yeah, and you know, shape.
Yeah.
And try to do lovely the feeling.
Right. And I go ahead and hit yourself some good darks. Really, like you did here. These are great.
Okay. Yes.
Smack them. Great. I like these color comparisons. You went a little yellower here, kind of blue greener over here. All right. I mean, good looking layout, good looking painting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have to fix the guy's face. Is get greeny.
Maybe he was the one drinking the absinthe.
Yeah.
He's like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Can I try some of that, honey? She said, sure. You guys, whoa. Maybe I had one a little bit too much of that. Yeah. Maybe let it sit for a while and then come back. Yeah.
The feeling of that cafe, you know, kind of decadent.
Right. You got it.
Yeah. I don't think they're a couple.
No, they're probably just sitting next to each other, huh?
No, I don't know, but.
Well, they do that over there, right? Everybody just ran.
Yeah, I don't think so, but somebody doesn't know. Yeah, I mean, she could be like a companion.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
You know.
Maybe that's why she's drinking.
You're right.
She's like, oh man. Okay. Thank you, Mitsuko.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Here's Katie. All right, Katie. Good looking colors. I mean, a little saturated with your colors for this type of piece, but good looking values and nice looking layout.
Thank you.
Is that a knife you put on the foreground?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, I went online to see because the one you sent me printed out very gray and.
Oh yeah.
And so I went online hunting for one with a little more bright colors.
Yeah. Oh, great. I mean, that's the only thing really. I mean, I think you got good looking values. I could see the reds being a little bit not quite as saturated of a red, but the value looks good. I mean, so if you were to add like blue to blue green glaze over this,
okay,
that will gray the color, but and desaturate it a little bit.
Okay.
Now, if you wanted to desaturate these yellows, which I think are beautiful, but I mean, for this piece, because everything, he's just so subtle. Everything he does is so subtle. So I would add a little bit of violet.
Okay.
Now that might make it dark. So what I mean is very little bit, just a very like this on the table, very light. If you want to do.
Okay, I can do.
It looks like you're doing great with the skin tones on the people. She looks a little bright in the highlights here. Mine was too. I never got to put them in there. But good. Good. Your optics look good too. Good looking values. All right.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'll go for this one. This is the second one. Aha. Now that's great looking, Cindy, great looking. So your colors are really subtle. This is what I mean. See how she goes from yellow, almost yellowy orange to green, and then the color of the table, which is almost kind of a cool gray. I mean, really subtle changes in here. This is just a red, like let's say a red violet with blue green in it or something. You know, it's just grayed down, in other words. Nice layout. I like your line work. Really pushing the line, very nice. You even got, and she would be casting a shadow down there too. I didn't really see it too much. Anything to add? Any questions or comments?
No, it's my layout. They kept expanding in size. I could have used a larger piece of paper, I think. No. My man, I lost his pipe and the stripe on the edge, but.
I think it does kind of come off the edge. Degas will do that. He'll put somebody, he'll even split somebody right in half. And I mean, just really illegal to do that back then, but he was pushing all the boundaries. I don't think a classical painter would put somebody's face that close to the edge, looking out of the piece like that. And Degas would do everything to make that work. And he really did. This is one of his most outstanding compositions. So. All right.
It's beautiful. It has a very epoch feeling.
Yes, it does. Yeah, that's the.
You know, it's like a Toulouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You really got that look. Real fresh watercolor.
Oh, thank you. That's what I wanted most, for it to be watercolory, which is hard because it's an oil.
Yeah, I know, but you know, we do what we can.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I sent the same one twice. I wasn't sure.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. And then we got Hector. Are you ready, George? Is anyone else? Let's get him in.
All right. I'm definitely not finished, but it's
okay. It's okay not to be finished. I mean, they're studies. They're never.
There's a lot of paint's not on it yet.
They're never finished. They're just abandoned. Okay. Hey, Hector, how you doing?
Good.
How's it going today? You sound good. You sound chipper.
Well, I didn't sleep well. We ran out of electricity at 5 o'clock yesterday.
Oh, no.
In the afternoon. I mean, it had to be one of the hottest nights I've ever. No air conditioning, no air, and it was just a section in Silver Lake that had no electricity.
My cousins had to go stay at a hotel.
Really?
Yeah,
it was
so bad.
Horrible.
You know.
Didn't sleep, and then it just went on about an hour ago.
Oh, that's nice.
So I haven't been able to get online with the computer, and my phone was running out. Oh, it was.
Well, we might be in for a rocky road here if this heat keeps up.
Yeah. Well, at least we're done with. I hope my area. Yeah. Something broke. So I don't know.
All right. So we got some nice looking darks, nice looking graphics. She definitely looks dazed. See, you never miss the expression. Look at that. She's just dull, in a dull haze.
I was really trying to, because his I thought, even though it's basically all his lines and everything were perfect, but I saw a much looser. How do I explain it?
Interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, here's the picture, but
yeah,
gosh, I don't know how to. I can see all the important shapes and looseness in it, but yet brought together just by subtle line work.
Yeah.
I started rushing, so the line work just got on it, but it's definitely. I see more line work now after doing this girl, Lucy.
You want to get into more line work?
Well, I don't want to get into more line work, but I see that once I put this down, then I have to go back and be more linear.
Yeah.
Because I can get carried away. Because my marks are just from the page to the over to this to that down, and I've tried to get it that way. But he's definitely wonderful. I've always loved this painting anyway.
Yeah.
Something that I have always gone back to because of her look and the absence that it's supposed to make you happy, but
I know, huh? He is a very layered painter. I mean, everything he does looks like a veneer, and then you look at it more, and then there's just it's so deep.
Yeah, because I think you're trying. What are which way are you going? Are you looking at more of the shapes?
I know.
Or shapes, and then once you're interested in that, then you come back and try and put in the lines and see that.
Right.
It's quite a study. Definitely.
And then on top of that, I mean, that's just the painting part.
What?
Then you got the story and all the just the nuance and the allegory going on, and who knows? There's just
I'm glad that I struggled with this.
Yeah.
Because without struggling, you don't learn anything.
Yeah.
I think Degas, I call Degas, but lines and the balance of lines and shape, perfect.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not line doesn't come up, but it's just on a line. Sometimes it's just on a line. It's not even a shape. It's not even have a dimension. But then it looks very. I think that's the look
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Yeah.
And I feel in your painting, especially her, I feel that. You know, it's like almost like shape doesn't matter, but it's,
Well, yeah. Well, I think you and I both try to paint our emotions somehow, and we
right.
That's good.
Technically being that.
I think we all want to do that.
Yeah, that is not the most important thing to us if we can, because it's so strong for us feeling the emotions from that.
Yeah.
That it's. Anyway, whatever.
You got it.
It's interesting.
It's very emotional. Yeah. I mean, whatever emotions she's having.
I think you can only get to this stage after doing a lot of stuff.
Yep.
To understand what
there's a certain amount of maturity you have to get to let other stuff go.
Exactly.
Let technique go.
Exactly, Rob. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I hear you.
Because we're all trying to reach to that realism, that perfect technique,
Right.
and then if when you reach it, then what's next is trying to find yourself.
Right.
And your.
Well, what's next is letting it go.
It's letting it go.
Letting it go and expressing yourself.
And letting it rip and letting it whatever's come out of that.
And then using it whenever you need it. It's just another tool.
Well, to know that it's just there, that I don't have to think about it.
Right.
I have to push it.
Right.
It just comes out. It's not a lot of thinking, but a lot of doing and feeling. That's weird. It's hard to explain it, but you know.
You're doing a pretty good job, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hector.
Thank you.
Nice work today.
Thank you.
There's Helen. Hey, Helen. Just getting that drawing going on in there, huh?
I don't normally draw with pencil first, and then I was trying to get the angles, and then I was off, and then I moved the tape, and then to cut it down.
Hey, that's fine.
And
you know what? And if you want to finish up or whatever and just send it over to me, that's
yeah, I will. Yeah, but no, I really, I know I obsessed over my angles, and I really wanted to focus on his angles, like you said.
Go ahead and obsess.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate all he did before I tried to emulate it.
Well, I think that's great.
But I really love it.
And you know, you're kind of tilting the perspective here a little bit.
Yeah, and I didn't.
And, you know, well, he would actually do that. I mean, in later paintings, he does that more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that leads to that idea in Matisse and other artists and so just I'm
gonna keep at it.
I'm not against you just leaving that, so because I love the tilted perspective, so just let you know. I think I get some color on it pretty soon.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, this is the hardest part, I think.
Okay.
Just getting those feet together.
Well, drawing should be the hardest part, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Nice layout.
Okay.
Thank you. And Gail. Now look at those. Now see, you really got pop going on in this thing. See, I still have pops because of the lights and darks. You have plenty of dark, so this thing's just popping. Pow. Lots of contrast in areas where you need it. You know, it has your feeling to it too. There's that Gale feeling.
Yeah, I really messed up the faces. I wasn't happy. But
I think he looks pretty much finished. If you were to go into her, I might work out the shadows. It's a pretty small painting, so I might just distinguish the shadows from the lights a little bit more. And if you have to come in with white, go ahead. You know, whatever. All that matters is that you get what you want. So it's a nice looking piece. That really feels like a mirror behind them too. I don't know why. Probably because of the contrast or something. But yeah. All right. Anything you want to add? Any questions or comments?
Everybody loves Degas.
Yeah. How can you miss, right? Yet I haven't done him yet. I don't know why. I think that's so weird. I went by Degas and I go, what? I don't think I've even done Degas yet. So anyway. All right. Thank you very much. Nice work. There's George. Oh, this is plenty finished, George.
Well, I haven't done the background or the. We're
Did you spill some of that absinthe on the ground? I'm just joking.
Yes. And we've decided the thing that's connecting the two tables is a paintbrush holder. Is that what
paintbrush holder? I like that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Anyway, I have to do his table and the background and more details in the face, maybe. Or
keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little line work.
Yes.
You're doing some nice line work in your hat. I mean, maybe, wherever you see a little bit.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, maybe some shadow on her face.
Right, yeah, well, I found I had black and I started to put it in the face and I said, I have to stop. I just couldn't get it to you. Yeah, for the shadow on the face, definitely not black. And you can see I put a little bit under her chin and ear.
Yeah.
It's too dark. So, I was trying to rush too much. There's no way I was going to finish it.
I mean, maybe, so I threw a little bit of shadow in here. There's just a little bit of shadow in that area. Maybe a little bit of shadow down by their feet. A couple of people put shadow back here, and I think that was a good move.
Yeah.
I didn't. I should have. And then maybe something back there too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or you could take some of the orange from her sweater, maybe pull it through the
bottle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Here and there, whatever.
Yeah.
Things like that. All right.
All right.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Is that everybody? Did I miss anyone? Nobody, huh? Wow. All right. All right then. Hey, I'm getting ready for the next term. I'm a little bit late on that. Sorry. I want to get that going right away here. What was he going to say? Oh, I'm just considering doing more local masters as well. I know I got a good feeling from you guys when they did the Milford Zorn. I think we got some good local masters. Maybe they didn't change art history, but they changed history for around here.
Marion Watchell.
Yeah, California's got a great history. I mean, there's so many people moved out here and brought the art to the West Coast, and the West Coast, so much of the West Coast actually changes history of everything, right? I mean, with our computers and our technology and all that. So anyway, I'll that's something I'm thinking about doing. And not that I'm going to leave any old masters alone. I just want to introduce more. But I'll keep that going. All right then, everyone.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Rob.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Great job, everybody.
Thank you, Rob. We'll continue with you.
Thank you, Rob.
Very good class. Very good class.
Everybody have air conditioning. Stay on.
Yeah, I know. Huh?
Yeah.
I can find.
I think today's going to be a little cooler. At least it's starting out that way.
Is that right? Oh, I went out early this morning, but I haven't been out later yet. So.
I think it's going to be hot through like Saturday.
Oh.
Rob,
I hope we get a break. Yeah.
I have a suggestion for a California impressionist that lived in Pasadena and stuff. Orrin White.
Oh yeah, sure. And who's the other one? The guy that lived in La Cañada. Hanson Putoff. Another one.
That's another.
Yeah.
So many of them are right around here. Bischoff was right around here. You're right about that. I didn't really think about that.
I had a small Orrin White that my partner Michael found in Lakewood, flea market, at a garage sale. An Orrin White, a small one.
Yeah.
And was worth. This is like 20 years ago.
He's amazing.
500. He was amazing.
Yeah, really.
He's the first one where I saw that I thought most California Impressionists were
Tight.
they're dulling their colors.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was talk about what were you talking about today? The gray.
Subtle colors?
Gray.
Yeah.
Gray in the what do you call them? Green, gray.
I don't know. Just subtle.
Yeah, when you gray down any vibrant colors down.
Desaturate?
Desaturate and they become what everybody's so afraid of, that nobody really does or understands what mud is.
Yeah, all the mud's just gray. That's all
it's gorgeous color. It's gorgeous.
It's the best,
especially when you bring it back to its to where it came from, and put a dot of that around there, and just you see, and it's just that's what I saw in North White. A lot of
really subtle colors, yes.
With white in them, and it's beautiful. Anyway, it's a suggestion.
Okay. You know, I wouldn't mind doing him next week.
Okay.
Or in white, or something like that. I don't know. You think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more California Impressionists. We've only got, 4 more classes, I think? I'll have to do.
I believe he was from Pasadena, too, so.
Wow. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. See you tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
See you tomorrow. Thanks, John.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
We'll see you next time. Keep cool. All right.